First thing I want to talk to you about was something that happened, I think, just like 2 days after my previous stream, and I haven't talked about it since, but I want to talk about it, and it's a little bit unfortunate, especially for anyone who's a VAT simmer, and that is the demise of FlyAI. For those of you that don't know, FlyAI is a collection of aircraft models that represent all different types of airplanes and different liveries, different airline paint schemes, for use when you're flying online, so that the airplanes you see in your sim are realistic representations of what the pilots are trying to fly. If they mark down that they are a WestJet 737, then it appears as a WestJet 737 in your sim. If they mark down that they are a, an Air France, A350, or a Lufthansa. I don't even know who operates 787s, but a Lufthansa 330, whatever it is listed in the VAT sim flight plan, that's how it will appear in your sim, so that when you're flying around these airports, especially with many other aircraft, you can identify the different aircraft. It looks a little bit more realistic. Otherwise, you're stuck with the default models in P3D, and there's only a few liveries. They're not very realistic. So these AI traffic packs, packages of models and paint jobs, create a very realistic experience when you're flying online with different people flying different call signs, because you see, the airplanes that are at the airports that you see online are the correct models, are the correct paint schemes. So what FlyAI was a collection with a very simple installer, a collection of literally thousands of probably at least a couple hundred different models and thousands upon thousands of paint jobs that that you could install into your computer, and probably one of the keys was that it was, the thing about FlyAI, and this is part of the problem and the controversy. FlyAI was not the maker of any of these models. They simply took collections of models with permission. They contacted various developers who had made all these different models and paint jobs and said, we would like to take all of your items and combine them into one package with an easy to use installer for people on VATSIM or other networks to use really easily. And the modelers were all on board with this. They said, "Great, yep, we'd love to see that the products that we've put all our time into, our labors of love, are getting well used." So they all agreed. And the thing about FlyAI was it was such a simple interface. You downloaded the installer, you ran it, and it would just look at your files, and it would just say, these are the files that you don't have, you need to install, and it would just be like one click to run it, one click to say update, and it would just download in the background and download everything. It was huge. One of the things about it was that it just installed everything. So I'm going to go really quickly here into my Explorer here and see if I can find. So this is my FlyAI folder, and it has 5,668 files across 3,000 different folders, taking up 14.8 gigabytes. So this is all the AI traffic, just the traffic package alone. 14.8 gigabytes of models of installs of models and paint schemes and textures and all that stuff. Huge, absolutely huge. But the side benefit of it was that you then had an immersive experience with very little others, with no other steps really required. Once you loaded it, vPilot, when you run it, would automatically recognize that all these things were in there. If I go into the model matching for P3D, and you can see here, where is it's here somewhere, anyways. But all the models are in here. Is it this one here? No, here it is. Sorry, there it is. FlyAI, right there. 2,073 models, of which it recognized 1,900, and that's it. And it's you run vPilot, it identifies that it's all there, and that's it. It's running. So, the key to it was that it was simple, and it was a huge library of models. So you go to any event, and almost anybody there that was flying a real-world airline with a real-world airplane, there was a model for it. It was already set up. So the key to FlyAI was that it was great, it was simple. Unfortunately, and there's some discrepancies, I guess, in some of the stories about why suddenly that this went away. But essentially, the people who had created the models rescinded their permission to use it in the installer. There was apparently a story that somebody else was going to use FlyAI in their product, and they were going to charge for it. that has since been reneged, but then the people who created the models did not like that. So they have rescinded their permission to be used by FlyAI, and as a result, because FlyAI didn't have any of its own models, it was just simply um, a conglomeration of lots of different models into an easy-to-use interface. Without the models themselves, without permission to use the models themselves, there was no point for it to be. So they simply announced that they were just going to shut down. Anyone who had already installed it could keep it, but that the installer would not work in the future because everything from the installer was downloaded directly off the internet. The installer just managed the downloads. Now there is work behind the scenes to try and get these models back into the VATSIM world, and it probably will happen, and hopefully with a fairly simple interface. That was the key, was that the interface